Hello everyone, welcome to Bald Guy Money, and in the second half of last year, I started to point out to you all that silver was making new all-time highs when measured in other currencies. And what I said then was that a strong US dollar relative to those other currencies was masking the real strength of silver, and that it was the first sign that new all-time highs were on the way, and that what we were seeing in these other currencies would happen when measured in the US dollar soon. Now, a little more than 1 year later, we're seeing silver break out to new all-time highs in all major currencies, including the euro, the US dollar, but most notably when measured in what is widely regarded amongst experts as the most stable fiat currency in the world, Swiss francs. And this is a big deal because this breakout for silver will result in significantly higher prices, much in the same way it did for oil prices when it broke above $40 for the first time in the early 2000s, opening the door to $100 a barrel oil. So in this video, we are going to dig into this topic a bit deeper by looking at what those other currencies that have been leading indicators of silver's strength are telling us about where silver price is going to be in the next 12 months. We are going to look at silver price dynamics and what has changed over the past week that tells me silver is likely going to hold the $50 per ounce level this time around on its way to new highs, and we'll finish this video on the topic of gold and silver affordability to discuss how people are getting priced out of the market like never before and what it means for people buying gold and silver today, as well as people who plan on selling their gold and silver at some point in the future. Now, just before we dive in, please check out summitmetals.com for great prices, especially on gold American Eagles, and please do it before we start making new highs on gold. And for those of you who didn't get to celebrate me reaching 100,000 subscribers last week, I know silver is no longer below $50 an ounce, but the celebration page is still active, so please take advantage of it while it lasts. Link to this celebration offer will be in the video description below, along with a link for new customers to get 5 ounces of silver at spot at summitmetals.com. So, to begin, and I've said this before, but it's worth repeating, the global economic slowdown we're experiencing right now started outside of the United States in late 2022 and early 2023, and I've pulled up German and Canadian GDP data to show you all just how both economies entered periods of contraction and stagnation at that time, and if you do the same for Japan or Australia, you will see the exact same thing. These are not unique cases. And because these other countries are a bit more advanced in their slowdowns, since I have said in past videos that the United States only started to slow down at the end of 2023 and early 2024, these other countries have started using all the old tricks that advanced economies use when things slow down, including aggressive interest rate cuts, with Canadian rates now significantly lower than they were at their peak in 2024, and stimulus, which we already saw rolled out in China earlier this year, but is now also being rolled out in Japan. And what this means is, as a way to get an idea of where silver price is headed in US dollar terms, just like when I said new US dollar highs are coming, using the highs in other currencies as a sign or leading indicator, we can look at where silver price is in those currencies today versus those 2011 highs to get an idea of where silver price is headed over the next 12 to 15 months as the United States follows them with more rate cuts of its own and what I think is the inevitable reintroduction of quantitative easing. So, using Canada, Australia, and Japan as our base for comparison, what you can see is that silver price has significantly surpassed the 2011 highs in those countries, with an average price today that is 99% above the 2011 high for silver price. Now, if we compare that to where we are for silver when measured versus the nominal US dollar high from 2011, and I am using monthly closing figures to measure this, silver is only 18% above the 2011 high, meaning if it is to follow these other currencies coinciding with a breakdown in the US dollar index, which is something I still expect, then we could be looking at $95 per ounce silver in the next 12 to 15 months, which is a 69% increase versus where the price is today, and will lead to higher silver prices in all currencies. But as fantastic an indicator as I think that is, remember, it's just one indicator of where silver price is headed. And as I've said in past videos, it's better when we have multiple data sets pointing in the same direction. And the reason is because it strengthens the overall argument. So for those of you who saw my September video on the wave of money, I expect to enter metals from the bond market as real interest rates go negative in April of next year. You'll remember I presented some price targets in that video showing midterm and longer term price targets for both gold and silver. And as we switch over to those figures, what you'll see is that the projection I just showed you of $95.34 an ounce for silver based on what I call leading indicator countries lands exactly in the middle of where I said I expected silver to be over the medium term, which means the next 12 to 18 months. And that gives us another data set pointing in the exact same direction, telling me that much higher silver prices are still on the way and that it's not too late to prepare for them right now. Because where I was saying to expect a couple pullbacks for silver below $50 an ounce after we passed it for the first time, that no longer applies. Those pullbacks have been made. They were quick, as I warned they might be, and they even ended up being a bit shallower than I had expected. But as things stand today, the dynamic has shifted, and a lot of the speculative money, the tourist money as I called it in past videos, that I warned would cause major volatility in price, that also caused spot price of silver to move above the futures price in something that is called backwardation, that's gone. Those speculators who were driving prices higher for the wrong reasons using leveraged trades were flushed out on the pullback to the $45 level. And judging by the level of shorting or betting against the price of silver on the PSLV Sprott Physical Silver ETF, which spiked exactly on October 6th, as silver put in its previous high and has since crashed by 95%, it doesn't look like there are too many people in the market speculating against the price of silver right now, making the path up to $60 an ounce a pretty clear one as fundamentals for silver price take over, and especially so if we get the expected rate cut from the Federal Reserve on December 10th, which currently has an 86% chance of happening. Now, just before we get to gold and silver affordability and how you need to prepare for it now, please remember that it's not only gold and silver I own to protect myself, but it's also land that you can stand on, grow things on, and even hunt on. And if that's something you've been wanting to add to your portfolio both easily and affordably, please remember to visit channel partner landofland.com. Because they are currently having their Cyber Week blowout auction with plenty of nice properties around the United States currently bidding for less than the price of 1 ounce of gold, and you can even pay with a credit card when you buy. So I will leave the link to that auction in the video description below. Just remember that if you're buying, to use code BALDGUY to get $300 off your purchase, and that's landofland.com, but if you prefer to talk to a person, feel free to call them at the number on the screen. So moving on to this video's viewer question, and please remember I answer one viewer question in every video I do. I take them from the comments section below, so please submit your questions there, and you never know, I may select your question to appear in my next video. And this week's question comes from David F., who wants to know what kind of silver people will be buying once price reaches the $80 to $100 per ounce price range, which is of course perfectly in line with prices I expect to see in 2026 or early 2027 at the latest. So to start, as I sometimes do, I am going to expand this to cover gold prices as well. And the reason is because this question not only makes us think about what the buy side of the gold and silver transaction will look like in a year or two from now, but in my opinion, and more importantly really, it helps us anticipate what the sell side is going to look like, which is something we always have to think about when stacking gold and silver to make sure we have something that can easily be sold in case we need to cash out and cover an unexpected expense. So, as we dive into the data, I want to say with prices rising as quickly as they are, breaking out from a 13-year period of what I call underinvestment in precious metals, what is driving product popularity right now, as this data from Summit Metals showing their best sellers for gold suggests, is affordability, with the tenth of an ounce gold eagle being their top seller right now, the 1 gram Scottsdale Mint Bar taking the number 2 spot, and the quarter ounce gold eagle coming in at number 3. And if you're wondering why this is the case and why it's not a lower premium 1 ounce gold product at the top spot, all you have to do is look at this updated affordability data for gold, because what it shows is that affordability for the average American household, when compared to median household earnings and the personal savings rate, has dropped by 86% since 1990, when an average American household could save 6.6 ounces of gold per year measured at spot price versus only 0.91 ounces of gold at spot price today. And with real wages and savings rates crashing all around the world due to persistent inflation, this tells us that something I first touched on back in 2022 is becoming increasingly true. And that is fractional gold is where the market is moving, and it's not a choice. Because with gold price up 60% since 2025 and more than 135% over the last 5 years, with more gains to come, saving up for a full ounce simply doesn't make sense for many people anymore, and people rightfully want to stack what they can on a monthly or quarterly time schedule. And this is precisely why, even for my wealthier viewers watching right now, I think having a part of your gold stack in fractional pieces, so pieces weighing less than a full ounce, makes sense, as it gives you more flexibility as prices move up. Now, in the case of silver, which was the original question to begin with, we're not quite at the same place we are with gold, as you can all see, with 1 ounce American Silver Eagle still leading the way in popularity, with Maples in second place and a couple other sovereign 1 ounce coins in the top 10 spots. And that's, of course, because silver is still much more affordable than gold, with even 10 ounce Scottsdale stacker bars cracking the top 10 of the list. But if we look at the exact same data for silver that we looked at for gold a moment ago, what you'll see is that affordability is moving in the same direction. It's down 87% since 1990, measured against median US household income and the savings rate, with the average American family only able to save 68 ounces of silver at spot price today per year, whereas that number was above 500 ounces in 1990 and close to 100 ounces at the average price in 2011, but is poised to drop even lower than 68, with the possibility of hitting 40 ounces once we start approaching $100 silver. So David, considering that data and the direction affordability is moving in, and using gold as a leading indicator of what to expect in the future, I'd expect people to be buying more 1 ounce products, possibly up to 10 ounce products once we get to $80 or $100 silver. So if you want to stack to remain liquid and flexible, I'd suggest to focus on smaller 1 ounce and maybe even 10 ounce pieces, maybe even a little junk silver in there, especially now considering how cheap it is. And just like I'm not adding too many 1 ounce gold coins to my stack right now, I would think twice about buying anything over 1 kilogram for silver, and I would definitely avoid 100 ounce bars. Not because I don't think they're cool, I think they're amazing, in fact, but because I think they will become more difficult to sell as price continues to move up. So thank you to everybody who made it to the end of this video. Please remember that if you enjoyed this content, to leave a like below. That helps this content reach people who may need to hear this message. And in addition to that, if you have family and loved ones that you know who need to hear this message, please don't be shy and share this video with them, as it helps my channel grow. So with that said, as I say at the end of all of my videos, please remember to take care of yourselves and take care of each other. I'm wishing you all a fantastic week ahead. See you in the next one. Goodbye.